Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, its canopy offering shade and a serene atmosphere for heartfelt discussions with his disciples. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of blooming flowers and the distant hum of the village's daily activities. "Imagine the sound of water flowing," he began, his voice steady, resonant, and as calming as a gentle stream. "The stream does not choose where it flows. It touches all, whether stone, earth, or living things," he continued. Ananda leaned forward, intrigued by Buddha's words, his eyes reflecting the thirst for understanding and deeper spiritual awareness. "The act of teaching is no mere delivery of knowledge. It is the creation of safe space for minds to flourish," Buddha said. In the calm of the setting, Buddha's voice carried the warmth of wisdom, soothing and inspiring everyone present. "Imagine the process as sowing seeds. The gardener must nurture each sapling uniquely, mindful of its specific needs," Buddha explained. A young disciple, trembling with curiosity, asked, "Master, how can we create this sound of compassion you speak about?" The Buddha smiled gently, his calm presence soothing the young man's evident eagerness and apprehension. "Through awareness, dear one," he replied. "Through understanding and an unwavering intention to lessen the suffering of others." Buddha rose and began walking toward the village, motioning his disciples to follow him into a vivid, living example of his teachings. They arrived at a small workshop where children worked tirelessly, weaving mats under the watchful and patient eye of an elder. Observing closely, Buddha pointed to the elder's demeanor, which radiated calmness, understanding, and steadfast guidance through mistakes. The elder does not scold nor show frustration. Instead, they embody patience, essential for nurturing growth and learning, Buddha remarked. One child made a mistake in their weaving. The elder smiled and gently demonstrated the correct method, avoiding harshness. "See how understanding transcends judgment here." The elder allows the child the freedom to err, learn, and thrive, Buddha said. Turning to Ananda, Buddha continued, "A teacher must mirror this patience, creating a space free of fear and full of trust." Ananda nodded, reflecting on how patience could transform educational interactions into compassionate, empowering experiences for learners. The children in the workshop laughed softly as they learned, showcasing the elders' success in fostering a joyful, supportive environment. True education does not impose. It invites learners to engage with knowledge willingly, fueled by curiosity and assurance, Buddha stated. "Love and loss are rivers flowing in the same stream." She stared at him, her tears still flowing but her gaze softened, as though clarity touched her sorrow. The children listened intently, their expressions lighting up as the elder's words painted vivid pictures of moral and philosophical tales. The teacher must weave lessons with the threads of empathy, gently touching the learners' hearts with universal wisdom, Buddha explained. He spoke softly but firmly. When learners feel understood, their minds bloom, and the thirst for knowledge transcends obligation. A disciple asked, "Master, how can one maintain patience when frustration builds due to repeated errors or resistance?" Buddha smiled, his gaze filled with compassion. "Frustration arises from attachment to results. Let go, and allow the process to unfold. Patience itself is a practice. With each interaction, the teacher also grows in compassion and wisdom," Buddha elaborated further. The elder in the workshop teaches by embracing imperfection. Knowing growth requires time, effort, and space, Buddha clarified. The flowering of compassion begins within oneself, extending outward into every encounter, enriching all who experience it, Buddha stated. The disciples contemplated Buddha's words, feeling the depth of wisdom in his approach to fostering patience in education. Buddha continued, "The role of an educator is sacred. It is a calling that impacts generations and inspires lifelong transformation. Ananda asked, how can teachers ensure their patience and compassion are sustained through challenges and struggles? Mindfulness strengthens compassion, Buddha replied. Each moment lived with awareness deepens one's capacity for patience in teaching and beyond. The disciples gathered around Buddha, feeling the resonance of his words, their hearts opening to new possibilities in education. Buddha gestured to the children. Observe how joy accompanies learning here when it's nurtured with love and guided with understanding. The elder does not demand perfection. Instead, they cherish the journey, appreciating every step taken by the learners, Buddha said. Pausing beneath another Bodhi tree, Buddha invited his disciples to sit and reflect on the lessons they had just witnessed. The trees' roots dig deep into the earth, providing stability, as compassion must root deeply in every teacher's soul, Buddha said. Ananda closed his eyes briefly, imagining how teachers could transform their practice by embodying these powerful lessons. The gifts of patience and kindness create ripples, inspiring not just learners but communities to live in harmony, Buddha explained. Buddha continued to inspire with his words. Just as sunlight nourishes life, compassion illuminates the path for both teacher and student. Listening to Buddha's teachings, the disciples felt moved, their perspectives shifting toward building meaningful connections in educational roles. Buddha stood in motion to continue walking, leading his disciples toward new examples of compassion in practice. He guided them to the edge of the village, where an elder taught farming techniques to a group of young farmers. The elder understands their learners' context, meeting them with practical advice and empathy for their struggles, Buddha commented. This approach exemplifies compassionate teaching, addressing real challenges while empowering learners to find strength within themselves, Buddha elaborated. Buddha smiled at the learners' enthusiasm as they tried the elder's advice, showing perseverance and delight in their learning. We teach not only skills but also the mindset to approach challenges with dignity and resilience, Buddha added. Turning to his disciples, Buddha instructed, let this lesson be an anchor for your own approach to guiding others with compassion. The disciples bowed respectfully, their minds brimming with possibilities for embodying patience and mindfulness in teaching. Buddha continued, compassion is not a luxury in education. It is the foundation upon which true transformation occurs. The disciples left the village with Buddha, carrying his teachings in their hearts, ready to apply them in meaningful ways. Another day, the Buddha sat under a peepal tree, its dense foliage shielding the disciples from the intense midday sun. The air was filled with a symphony of bird calls and the rustling leaves dancing to the rhythm of a soft breeze. The disciples gathered around Buddha, their robes blending with the earth's hues, their minds ready to absorb the day's teachings. Compassion is incomplete without understanding. Like a lamp unlit in the darkness, Buddha began, his voice calm yet profoundly firm. Ananda raised a question. Master, how can one cultivate understanding when faced with unfamiliar perspectives or resistance? Buddha smiled. Deep listening is the root of understanding, allowing us to perceive the unspoken and embrace the unsaid truths. The disciples listened intently, eager to grasp the wisdom embedded in Buddha's carefully chosen words and serene tone. Come, Buddha said, rising gracefully. We shall journey to a place where the practice of understanding thrives naturally. They followed Buddha to a hall where elders and youth engaged in discussions, their voices rising and falling harmoniously. Within the hall, an elder presided, their presence exuding calm authority, mediating the spirited debates with skillful listening. Observe the elder, Buddha instructed. Their focus lies not in judging but in creating harmony among differing thoughts. A young speaker's voice quivered with uncertainty, yet the elder listened without interruption, their attention unwavering and genuine. True understanding begins with attention. The gift of fully hearing without dismissing or interrupting, Buddha said softly to his disciples. The elder smiled warmly, encouraging the youth to elaborate, creating an atmosphere of trust and openness in the room. Notice, Buddha continued, how the elder's patience allows the speaker to gather courage and refine their expression further. Ananda observed the dynamic exchange, reflecting on Buddha's teachings about the role of trust in fostering understanding. Understanding is nurtured not by answers but by the questions we ask and the space we create, Buddha explained. The elder reflected back the youth's words, paraphrasing with clarity and acknowledgement, reinforcing their thoughts without bias. In mirroring understanding, the teacher does more than teach. They empower the learner to value their own insights, Buddha said. Another disciple asked, Master, how can one maintain neutrality when one's own beliefs are strong? Buddha replied, the mind, when tethered to beliefs, becomes rigid. Compassion unbinds it, making space for another's truth. The teacher must silence their own mind to fully grasp the learner's voice. Uncolored by preconceptions, Buddha elaborated. The elder posed questions to guide the discussion, encouraging critical thinking among participants while maintaining a respectful discourse. Teaching infused with understanding transforms learners into thinkers, enabling them to seek wisdom rather than merely accumulate knowledge, Buddha said, stepping closer to the elder. Buddha observed their balanced demeanor, rooted in awareness of each participant's emotional state. Awareness of emotions enriches understanding, reminding us to respond rather than react. Buddha told his disciples with a gentle smile. The debates concluded. The elder bowed to the participants, acknowledging the collective effort in exploring truth together. Buddha turned to his disciples and said, acknowledgement is vital. It honors each journey and reinforces mutual respect in teaching. They exited the hall and walked into a nearby grove, where sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting intricate patterns. Let us discuss, Buddha invited, seating himself on a large stone, inviting reflection among his disciples. Compassionate teaching requires not only speaking wisely but listening with an open heart. Even in the face of disagreement, Buddha began. Deep listening reveals the essence of another's experience, paving the way for transformative connections, Buddha added, his eyes serene. Ananda shared his thoughts. Master, listening deeply seems arduous when the mind is cluttered with its own concerns. Buddha nodded. Mindfulness clears the mental clutter, grounding the teacher in the present moment, fully available to the learner. Each word spoken, each silence offered, carries the potential to heal, inspire, and cultivate understanding, Buddha explained further. He continued, when a teacher mirrors understanding, they validate the learner's reality, sparking confidence and curiosity within them. Reflect on this day's teachings, Buddha said, gesturing to the grove. Nature itself listens deeply, adapting to its rhythms harmoniously. The disciples sat in contemplation, their thoughts aligning with the profound simplicity of Buddha's message. Understanding is not passive. It is an active commitment to walk alongside another, even amid uncertainty, Buddha said. Ananda asked, Master, what if the learner refuses to engage or misuses the trust given? Understanding sees beyond behavior. It seeks to uncover the roots of resistance, often buried in pain or fear, Buddha replied. The disciples nodded, pondering how they might apply this wisdom in their own interactions with others. Compassionate educators balance firmness with gentleness, ensuring boundaries are respected while creating room for exploration, Buddha explained. The breeze through the grove seemed to echo Buddha's words, adding depth to the tranquil atmosphere of the teachings. Let the mirror of understanding guide you, Buddha said, reflecting the learner's light back with clarity and kindness. The disciples bowed their heads in gratitude, carrying the day's lessons within their hearts as the sun began to another day. The Buddha sat by a serene river, its gentle waters mirroring the tranquility of the surrounding landscape. The disciples gathered close, their robes brushing against the dew-covered grass as they waited for Buddha's words with quiet anticipation. Compassion in education is incomplete without the spirit of giving. The natural rhythm of sharing and receiving, Buddha began. Ananda asked thoughtfully, "Master, how can one give selflessly in teaching, without seeking recognition or reciprocity from the learner?" Buddha smiled. The act of giving itself is the reward. It nurtures both the giver and the receiver harmoniously. Let us observe the essence of giving, Buddha said, rising gracefully and motioning for his disciples to follow along. They arrived at a vast rice field, where farmers worked diligently, sharing tools and knowledge with one another joyfully. The elders guided younger workers, imparting skills with a steady hand and an encouraging smile as the harvest progressed. Notice the farmers' generosity, Buddha said. They do not withhold knowledge. They trust its spread will ensure collective prosperity, a disciple observed. But Master, what if the learner takes but does not give back? Does it not create imbalance? Buddha replied, when compassion fuels giving, it transcends expectations. The seeds sown today may bloom unexpectedly in unseen places, nearby. A child handed water to a weary farmer, who responded with gratitude, creating a cycle of mutual care. The cycle of giving nourishes not just the body but the spirit, strengthening bonds and creating interdependence. Buddha elaborated. A young farmer stumbled, spilling grains they had collected. An elder hurried to assist, sharing their portion without hesitation. Teaching is an act of generosity, Buddha said. It requires trust in the learner's ability to one day share. The disciples continued to observe the field, seeing countless instances of unspoken kindness and collaborative effort among the workers. Compassionate giving inspires gratitude in the recipient, eventually transforming them into givers themselves, Buddha explained with a serene expression. Buddha led his disciples to a nearby hut where a teacher was instructing children to prepare food for the community. The teacher patiently explained each step, ensuring every child understood, pausing to help whenever confusion or mistakes arose. Observe the teacher's actions, Buddha instructed. Their knowledge flows selflessly to the children, who will one day serve others. Ananda asked, Master, what strengthens the teacher's capacity to give without fatigue or resentment? The teacher draws strength from mindfulness, Buddha replied. Awareness prevents exhaustion and keeps the heart open to continued generosity. A child hesitated, unsure of their actions. The teacher knelt beside them, offering encouragement while gently correcting their errors. Giving must be accompanied by guidance, ensuring that learners grow confident and capable of contributing back meaningfully, Buddha elaborated. The fruits of giving are not always immediate, Buddha said. Compassion trusts that the cycle will complete itself over time. The disciples reflected on their own experiences, recognizing moments when generosity had sparked transformation in their relationships. The giver and receiver are deeply interconnected, sharing responsibility for nurturing wisdom and compassion in the world, Buddha continued. Buddha stood and moved toward the riverbank, inviting his disciples to rest and contemplate the day's observations. The river flows endlessly, Buddha said. It gives itself to all who approach, yet its essence remains inexhaustible and unchanged. Ananda nodded, understanding how this analogy reflected the power of giving in education and life. Knowledge and compassion, like water, are renewed through sharing. The more we give, the greater their vitality, Buddha explained. A disciple asked, Master, how can teachers inspire gratitude in learners without demanding it? Gratitude arises naturally when giving is unconditional and accompanied by understanding, Buddha replied, his tone gentle and reassuring. The teacher plants seeds of gratitude through their example, modeling kindness and patience for the learner to emulate, Buddha said. Buddha pointed to a tree on the riverbank, laden with fruit that fell freely for birds and travelers alike. The tree gives without expectation, trusting that its fruits will sustain life and its seeds will take root elsewhere, Buddha observed. The true teacher embodies this principle, finding fulfillment in giving, detached from the outcome, Buddha elaborated. The disciples bowed their heads, taking in the profound simplicity and depth of Buddha's teachings on compassion and giving. Reflect on how your actions, even small ones, contribute to the cycle of giving and inspire transformation, Buddha encouraged. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden hues over the river and illuminating the path before the disciples. Let your teaching be like the sun, Buddha said, offering light indiscriminately, fostering growth wherever it reaches without expectation. The disciples felt their hearts expand, understanding the boundless possibilities of compassionate giving in education and life. Buddha smiled as he gazed at the disciples, sensing their readiness to embody these teachings in their own journeys. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.